I'm just making this video real quick before my DoorDash comes. I think he's coming. Yeah, he's on his way right now. But I'm just making this quick video because it's tomorrow morning. It's Chargers, or not Chargers. What am I talking about? It's Broncos Patriots AFC Championship game. It's a big game for both teams. Obviously, AFC Championship game is always going to be big. But I think that this is it's an unorthodox game because you got a backup quarterback in. You have a borderline historic defense for the Broncos. So it's kind of the situation where we don't know what's going to happen. I'm a Patriots fan, but I'm going to try keeping this video as non-biased as possible. If anything, I might be a little more harsh on the Patriots just cuz I know I follow them more, so I'm going to know what the holes are. But I'm just going to real quick talk about how each team could win or lose this game. I'm really going to talk about first I want to talk about the Broncos, all right? Because I feel like the Patriots, I'm going to have a lot to talk about the Patriots. And I think the Broncos could win just by mainly disrupting Drake May, all right? I think there's a few things that they're going to win or how they're going to win. You disrupt Drake May, home field, if it plays a factor, then that could be a factor. And not just if it plays a factor, it could be a factor. Um, I can't say that so far this season I've seen that Bo Nix was the reason that the Broncos were winning games. All right, which is not a good thing if you're the Patriots, because if the quarterback that just went down with an season-ending injury was not the reason why they were winning games, then you can't get confident going into this game at all. All right, because when Bo Nix, if you look at the passing charts of Bo Nix, it'll really show that Bo Nix was not the reason why they were winning these games. I think that he wasn't a crazy arm talent, and this is not me being a biased Patriots fan or anything like that. I just don't think he was a crazy arm talent, which is by far more scary for the Patriots because, you're not expecting for the backup quarterback to be any good, and I don't think he will be any good. But the Broncos have showed all season long that they don't need a ridiculously good quarterback to win games. Now, another way that they can win, and probably the best way that they can win, is defensively, obviously. If they can get to Drake May the way that these last two teams have, I think they have a better chance to win than the past two teams, because the past two teams have had like major struggles on offense, major struggles, and this Broncos team has a serious O-line. And with that O-line, I think that Jarrett Stidham's going to be able to sit in that pocket and make his first, second, maybe even third read. I just don't see the Patriots D-line really getting to the quarterback. So if he has that time, it's going to come down to the Patriots defense and the Broncos defense. At the end of the day, I mean, as much of a Patriots fan as I am, I don't think that the Patriots defense is better than the Broncos defense. You mean to tell me you have the reigning defensive player of the year as Patrick Surtain? He's going to shut down Diggs. Diggs will not be touching the ball all game if he's shadowing him. I mean, is Diggs a high enough caliber receiver to be shadowed all game long? Who knows? But, that is a possibility. Now, Nick Bonito, he is going to be he's going to be the biggest threat on that defense, by far. By far the biggest threat on that defense. You know why? Because he's going against Will Campbell. All right, this is going to be a quick rant. Will Campbell is the worst playoff left tackle I've ever seen in my life, all right? Obviously, I'm going a little too harsh. In 2 years, I'm probably going to be like, oh, yeah, Will Campbell. No, Will Campbell looks like he's not even a football player right now. He lets these defensive ends waltz in to the pocket. They just walk in. He lost multiple reps to Will Anderson Jr., who's arguably, obviously, a future Hall of Famer. Khalil Mack, the wild card round, who is a Hall of Famer. But Nick Bonito, are we going to talk about, this guy not being a Hall of Famer? Nick Bonito will be a Hall of Famer in the future if he keeps playing at the level he's playing at right now, all right? So that's going to pose a serious threat to Drake May. Drake May fumbled so many times last game because his blindside collapsed. And I'm talking about Jarrett Wilson as well. Jarrett Wilson was a serious factor in the collapse of that left side of the line. He I don't know, man. Jared Wilson needs to go to center, all right? And you need to have Will Campbell go to left guard because when Will Campbell gets the opportunity to run block and he can just put his head down and go into the defensive tackle's chest, he is a serious run blocker. And I'm saying that that's compliment, you know. But in pass blocking, you kind of can see the issues in the pre-draft process where everybody was talking about arms or whatever, this, that, and the third, all these critiques. You can see it, to be honest, and it's not a good thing to be able to see that out of your young left tackle. But I think that he will change. I think that Will Campbell will be able to find his spot on this O-line. If it's either at left tackle, left guard, I think it should be at left guard, and we really get just a blue chip left tackle because I think he can be our blue chip left guard. I think he'll be a Hall of Famer at left guard, you know, maybe a Pro Bowler at left tackle, but I think he can be a serious Hall of Famer at left guard. Man, he is something else. Okay, now, how do I think the Broncos could lose this game? Well, one, obviously, I think I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. First of all, sorry, I just went and got my DoorDash. I just got some banging Taco Bell. 5 crunchy tacos, not the Supreme, just the regular, and one Supreme or Crunchwrap Supreme. So yeah, that's about to go crazy in like 30 minutes. But one way that, or not one way, but just the ways that the Broncos could lose this game. Obviously, elephant in the room. Let me address it. Jarrett Stidham. All right, that dude could just be an absolute dud, and things could go wrong for Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham has had 40, or not 40. Jarrett Stidham's had 4 career starts. He's 1 for 3 in those 4 career starts. His last throw was in 2023. The Patriots drafted him, so is he going to have a revenge game? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to have, like, he's not cold enough to have one of those revenge games. But yeah, I just don't think Jarrett Stidham's going to be the guy he's not going to be the difference maker of this game. But obviously, I said before, you know, the Broncos have never relied on their quarterback. Bo Nix was never the guy that was winning them the games, and I don't think Jarrett Stidham's going to be the guy either. Now, what did help was Bo Nix's mobility in the pocket. That helped them win games. Jarrett Stidham, I don't think has that. I don't think he has the mobility that Bo Nix does. Another thing is, I'm not going to say this is my opinion, but I'd say the consensus, not the consensus, but what others think is Bo Nix. They think Bo Nix is clutch. All right, and Jarrett Stidham's not going to bring that clutch factor. What the Broncos are going to need from Jarrett Stidham is they're going to need him to not turn the ball over. If he can keep it a clean game and really have the defense win this game for them, then there's a chance that they win. All right. Now, another thing, the offense without Nix is pretty middle of the pack. I'd say not their O-line. Their O-line's great, but their weapons. You know, they got Cortland Sutton, you know, veteran receiver, pretty decent. I wouldn't say he's like a star, but he's a decent receiver, right? I'd put him in like the top 15. I'd put him in a average to above average receiver, you know, for wide receiver 1 at least. Now, they're wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not looking at anything right now while I'm saying this stuff. So most of this is off the head or off the dome. But, you know, I think I did enough research to understand this. So, if I'm not mistaken, Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant are the wide receiver 2 and 3. They're pretty interchangeable. I forgot which one's which. But I would say that having 2 rookies at wide receiver 2 and 3 this deep into the postseason with a backup quarterback that hasn't probably had that many reps with the first team is not going to be a good, you know, outcome. J.K. Dobbins had a chance of coming back. He came off IR. He's actually ruled out for this game. So they're going to have to rely on Harvey. Harvey's from UCF. It's a pretty cold game. I don't know how he's going to perform, especially pass catching. Patriots' run defense is incredible. I also simply think that they're gonna put Christian Gonzalez on Cortland Sutton all game. He's gonna be shadowing. I mean, why? Like, all due respect to Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant, but are they worth Gonzo even guarding them? Like, I could be eating my words 100% tomorrow. Like, a lot of the things I'm saying, but this is just what I'm thinking, and I think I'm gonna get more things right than wrong. So, is it worth putting Christian Gonzalez on Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin? I don't think so. I think that the best decision is for him to shadow Sutton all game. Now, where I think that the Patriots could bleed on defense is Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram is going to be a difference maker in this game. If they win, he will be the difference maker. I also think that the weather has not as much and as much to do with the game as people think. So, obviously, elevation is going to, I wouldn't say kill the Patriots, but it's going to affect the Patriots. They're not used to this, and I don't think any team in the NFL is used to this. I think Denver has a home field advantage unlike any other with the elevation advantage. But when people say that the cold, because it's going to be a seriously cold game. Like, I'm pretty sure it's 10 degrees out at that game, or it feels like 10 degrees or something like that. It's going to be seriously cold. All right, the coldest the Patriots have played so far this season is like 30s. Now, everybody's been gassing that up all week long. Oh, it's going to be really cold. How are the Patriots going to come here? It's going to be so cold. The Broncos haven't played a game that cold. The Broncos' coldest game has been in the 30s, and that was last week's game against Buffalo. It was 30s, and it was sunny out. So I don't want to hear the whole cold weather this, cold weather that. Both teams, it's even ground on the weather game. All right, it's very even ground on the weather game. But altitude, no. Broncos definitely have the advantage on the altitude part. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a difference maker. I do. I think it's going to be a difference maker in the game. I think that on defense is going to be a difference maker. Also, what I think of the difference maker is going to be is the amount of snow coming down. I think both defenses, especially the secondary and linebackers, especially the linebackers, are not going to be able to make the cuts that they want to make. I mean, you have to think about it in this perspective. Receivers know what route they're about to run. Tight ends know what route they're about to run. So it's the job of the corner or the linebacker to follow them. So who's going to be the one having to make the really, really quick cuts? It's going to be the defense trying to follow whoever the receiver is. All right, now let's get to the statistics part of things. So first, rushing. It's going to be a rushing game to me. I think it's going to be cold. It's going to be snowing. Receivers are not going to be able to catch those zipping balls the same way that, they could when it's not snowing. So I think it's going to be a big-time rushing game. The Broncos' rush defense allowed 91 yards per game, 3.9 yards per carry in the regular season. But against the Bills, they had let up 183 yards, given Josh Allen was running it quite a bit. But James Cook was really the guy that was doing it. And it was 5.1 yards per carry. So if the Patriots can do that using Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson, then I think that they'll win the game. Now, as a Drake May Glazer myself, I like to think that he has an incredible blitz, attack. Like, he can attack the blitz well. When he sees the blitz coming, he knows how to respond. But the Broncos are first in limiting the explosive passes, which is the deep balls, to be honest. And that's Drake May's bread and butter. That's his thing. His deep ball, cures male loneliness. He's just something else with that deep ball. But they can limit it really well. They're 39% on limiting those deep balls. That's 6 times in the NFL. All right, so I don't think that Drake May is going to be able to pass it deep every play, which is okay, but he's going to have to get efficient with it if he wants to win this game. The Broncos also set their franchise record for sacks. This includes when they had the no-fly zone. All right, this includes when they were, tearing the league up in like 2010, something like that. But, Von Miller and them. Now they got Nick Bonito, all right? And Nick Bonito's something else. Nick Bonito's changing the franchise. Nick Bonito's changing the record for the franchise amount of sacks in a year. I mean, obviously we can grant the whole defensive line, but it's really Nick Bonito. Nick Bonito's the one that's making quarterbacks fear in their heart the night before. All right, Nick Bonito's a fear-mongering defensive end, and he's different. We also can't dismiss the fact that the Broncos are on a hot streak. They have beat a Buffalo Bills team that was supposed to win the Super Bowl at one point in the season. They had no Lamar, no Joe Burrow, no Pat Mahomes in the playoffs. It was supposed to be Josh Allen's year. Bo Nix changed that. Obviously, we have Jarrett Stidham playing, but still, that Broncos defense made Josh Allen fumble and throw some interceptions that were so questionable. I was thinking, is that the same Josh Allen I was watching last week? All right. Is that the same Josh? Because Josh Allen against the Jacksonville Jaguars, he was doing, who knows what? He was doing whatever he wanted with them. No safe word. Everything was allowed. All right. And you mean to tell me that the Broncos defense just stopped it? They put their foot in the ground, they just stopped it. That's the crazy part to me, because if they can do that to Josh Allen, what are they going to do to Drake May? Given I think Drake May is better than Josh Allen. You can scrutinize me all you want, but Drake May is better than Josh Allen. Now, if they can do that to Josh Allen, they can definitely do some damage to Drake May. Okay, so to conclude everything I said, these are the things that both teams need to do. Simple to win the game. For the Broncos to win this game, they need to mess with Drake May. They need to get to him. They need to kill the blitz. The home crowd needs to be there. The altitude needs to be affecting the Patriots. The O-line needs to really step up, even though they've been stepping up all year. And I think that they're going to need some level of safety from Jarrett Stidham. He can't turn the ball over. Simple. For the Patriots to win this game, I think Drake May is going to have to use his legs, seriously. They're going to have to find a way to get some explosive plays, even though the Broncos are really good at limiting them. They're going to have to, play some lockdown defense on Jarrett Stidham. They're going to have to force turnovers. This game really might come down to how many turnovers and if Jarrett Stidham can throw turnovers. I also think that their road record could play a factor into this, because they seem to like to play on the road. They like being road dogs. I think they like having their back against the wall. But it also could be me just, talking to talk. The over-under of the game is at 3.5. Do I think that the Patriots are going to lose? No. I'm a Patriots fan, so how can I say that? But also, I just simply don't think they can lose this game. If I'm going into this week knowing I'm going against Jarrett Stidham, and if you lose to Jarrett Stidham, you're not going to hear it you're not going to hear the end of it, You mean to tell me that you think you can lose to this backup quarterback after you lost a Super Bowl to a backup quarterback not that long ago? Josh McDaniels remembers that. Yeah, he remembers that. He remembers it just fine. Guess what? Because he got whooped that game, all right? Brady didn't get whooped, obviously. It was mostly the defense's fault. But still, he was there for that. And if you lose to another backup quarterback, you could literally go get A.J. Brown, Max Crosby this offseason, and everybody's going to say, oh, well, Jarrett Stidham can still beat that team. Oh, Jarrett Stidham. You cannot lose to a backup quarterback. You simply cannot. You cannot lose to a backup quarterback. In the Broncos have nothing to lose. Jarrett Stidham could either come out there throwing check down after check down, completion for completion, and try to, beat the Patriots just play calling. They can beat the Patriots play calling. Or Jarrett Stidham goes into that stadium, he uncorks the ball, lets that ball spark all game long, and they win the game just like that. Because he came to the game with confidence. They can win the game so many different ways. If Jarrett Stidham doesn't turn the ball over, this game's going to 100% come down to turnovers. If Drake May doesn't turn the ball over, Jarrett Stidham doesn't turn the ball over. And who turns the ball over more if they both do? That's what the game's going to come down to. And it's going to be a fun game. I think that's all in all. It's gonna be a fun game. I'm excited for the Seahawks Rams game as well, but it's gonna be a fun game. This game's 100% gonna be a fun game, and I'm just excited for it. So see you after the game. I'm probably gonna have a recap of the game. I'm definitely gonna have a recap of the game. Yeah,